And based on this internal domestic work that, for example, Japan has launched years ago, or many countries, or even countries are now launching this exercise. That's the only way that, without thinking about the interaction with others, but the interaction within the domestic economy, that will, in a way, build a narrative story of what could be a low carbon economy in each country. Then, it is a very it is a story where interaction will dominate the climate. This idea that you have to build a sustainable agriculture, really try to have energy transition, will dominate the climate-only focus. But it's the condition that we can get any agreement at a efficient level globally. So this transformational thinking of development pathways are the condition of having a global agreement on climate and a global agreement on biodiversity or whatever. So that's why I think that's why I'm feeling that to work on this SDGs is a good bet, but it transforms our vision. Totally. That's why I think Victor introduced this discussion, how we reframe planet boundaries if we at the same time discuss integration, discuss food system and cities. That's complex, but I think this is the only way that we can then check if for climate, biodiversity, coral reef or whatever, we can achieve sustainability. But that's a totally different exercise we have been conducting from now. So, and I think that's the real bottom up, the learning process, where we are going to find a solution.
Thank you, Ronis. We are already entering into a very interesting discussion. But before going into discussion, I'd like to invite one more presenter, which is Dr. Mats Nilsson. And he's from Stockholm Environmental Institute. And he will give us a complete idea about how to make this SDG and the post-2015 development goals. And he's focusing on the energy issue, I understand. So, Mats, please take it over.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so complexity and ownership. And I decided in this preparation of this presentation to recycle an old image that we used to present Stockholm Environmental Institute's research agenda quite some time, late 90s or something like that. And when I looked at it, it sort of works still in a way. It's the attempt to get away from the separate pillars of social, economic, and environmental dimensions of development, but they are really intertwined in some sort of DNA of development, that research themes such as resilience science, sustainability science, and equity governance questions need to be combined with those challenges at different scales. So this is really complex, and the problem is that if you're talking about the post-2015 political agenda, we can't be that complex. It doesn't make sense for the general public or for the political decision makers. So I will argue that in order to make something viable out of this, we need to sort of boil down and start from the base. What is it that we as human race share as common concerns and priorities in our lives? This is about people, humans, human well-being, and pursuit of human values such as security, dignity, prosperity, eventually, happiness, perhaps. This is something that we all share. This is the basis upon which a development agenda can be built. But what we know also is that in order to pursue these aspirations, we need to have both the resources and capacities and national infrastructures in place in the wider sense of the word, and resolving the international collective action problems, such as the ones that this conference is addressing, for instance, climate change. And as the high-level panel convened in London, this became a sort of a topic of the agenda, and it was proposed that a simple three-tier approach to the development agenda could be considered, where you have people in the middle, people's well-being in the middle, the national resources and capital bases in the centering, and the global public goods in the outer ring. And we have tried to apply this simple framework in some illustrations, and I will come back to that a little bit later for the case of energy. The challenge really is to combine this type of conceptual image, which is very simple, with a number of political principles that are much more complex, that these goals, the post-2015 agenda, should be a limited set of simple, concrete and communicable goals and targets. It has been stated they should be universally relevant, taking into account the longer-term economic development. They should be tailored to country resources and capabilities. They should be politically viable. They should ensure coherence and integration across the three dimensions of sustainable development. So this means that if we have this sort of three-tiered approach, we need to make cuts into it. And the suggestion is then that this is a new way of articulating the intertwined relationships that the development agenda should cover. So you make a cut of this cake in the field of energy, the field of food, the field of health, the field of education, the field of cities, or whatever the political priorities in the development agenda will be. So in principle, this type of generic approach would be able to be applied to any development sector. Now in most kind of management by objective systems that we've seen at national and also in the NP process, it's quite useful to think about also contributing goals. So these three tiers will all be ultimate goals in a development agenda. But it's very important to think about contributing or enabling goals as well. One can use a simple policy analysis framework to illustrate this, where you have the sustainable development impacts that are shaped and determined by policy and planning outputs and outcomes that are in turn shaped and determined by institutions, governance and process arrangements. And it's important to have these contributing goals as well, because first of all, the actual ultimate goals might be very difficult to quantify. They might be of such terms that they are not lend themselves to monitoring in a simple way. There might be very big time lags, so that you cannot actually